Welcome to the next episode of This Isn't About Me. And I'm very, very excited to be joined by the hilarious and always entertaining Julie Cole. I'm very excited to have you here. And I feel like this is going to be a really good conversation. I'm so excited to dive into all things Julie Cole and everything going on in your life. So, per usual, if you would like to just give us a quick little intro to who you are, and then we'll dive into the good stuff.
Yay. Oh, well, I'm so glad to be here. Good to see your
Yeah,
face again via the
you
Zoom.
too. I know, I
And
love it.
uh, yeah, so I'm Julie Cole. I'm the co-founder of Mabel's Labels, which is a children's product. We are actually just having our 20th birthday right now, and I can
God,
hardly believe that.
that's
Um,
crazy.
I know. We can talk more about that. It's nuts.
Yes.
And then I also am a parenting author. I do a lot of media, a lot of speaking, and I'm a mom of six. So it's a busy old life.
That is a busy, busy life.
Uh, yeah, it's good. It keeps me out of trouble, you know?
That's always a good thing. Keep you
Yeah,
out of trouble,
I could use
especially
that.
you.
Yeah.
Yay, awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, you want to talk a little bit about Mabel's Labels? I know it's been quite the journey. We can also talk about parenting six children because I have two, and that's enough for me.
It's plenty. Two's plenty.
Yeah,
Yeah.
two is
Well, and it's
definitely
funny,
plenty.
Leanne, because people are always like, oh my God, I can barely manage my two. How did you have six? I'm like, if you've done one to two, you've done the hard part.
That's
Like,
what I actually have heard. We had a
yeah,
friend that had like a couple that came together. They each had one kid and then they had two kids together, and they
right.
were like, quite honestly, like going from one to two was the hardest, but then
Yeah.
like after two it's just
Yeah.
you're just like, yeah, whatever,
I
it's
agree.
fine.
It doesn't get twice as hard, but like
Yeah,
with three or four, like it just, and then there is like this thing where they do entertain each other. Like there is
yeah.
that vibe. Like when things shut down for COVID, like I had two kids at university, they got sent home. Like I had six kids, and it was, I kind of joked that it was our time to shine. It all made sense because they could play Dungeons and Dragons together. They had movie nights, they'd be in the pool. Like they had their little
Oh,
game,
I love that. Yeah, that's
so it made it
nice.
easy for me. Yeah.
I just had the two that were like, I need space from you. Can you go away? Can you not be in my space?
I
Like they wanted
know.
to just murder each other because it was like way too much time for two
Oh,
people to
yeah,
spend together.
exactly. That was not, families should not have that much quality time.
Oh my gosh, it was so much.
Yeah.
I think
So,
they're
yeah,
still feeling that.
exactly. They're still sick of each other. Yeah. So yeah, Mabel. So we started 20 years ago.
Wow.
It came about for a couple of reasons. So I started with three other women. One is my sister, and then two were our friends from university. And one went on to marry my brother, one went on to marry my young uncle. So we're all our family as
Oh
well.
my gosh, that is crazy.
And then we started because a couple of things. We all had little kids, and we
Hmm.
didn't have a good labeling solution. Honestly, people were using like permanent marker and masking tape on their stuff. And
Still
we're like,
doing that. Sorry.
yeah, no, that's not cool. Okay, I'm sending you labels after this podcast
Like I
promptly.
still do that and it
Promptly.
wipes off.
It's terrible. It's terrible. Yes, yes. Not acceptable, Leanne.
I know, it's
Um,
so bad.
yeah, I see that. It makes my retinas bleed. So there was a product missing from the market. So we thought, there's got to be something out there. And there wasn't. So, like good mama entrepreneurs, we created it. It was harder than we thought. We did a lot of research and testing because we wanted our labels to be super durable, right? Like they had to go through the dishwasher, they had to go through the microwave, they had to be super pretty and highly personalized.
Mm,
Like we knew
yeah.
our market because we were our market.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was reason number one. And then secondly, for me, I just really needed to leave the traditional workforce. My eldest child had just turned 3 and was diagnosed with autism.
Mhm.
And we joke I'm a recovered lawyer. And I just needed a little more flexibility in my work life so that I was able to advocate for him and set up a program for him. And honestly, it just turned 3 and already had two younger siblings. So it was already busy around here.
Just a couple of things
Just
going on.
a few
Might
things
as
on the
well
go.
start a business too.
Exactly. So, yeah, so then that was 20 years ago. And we started in my sister's basement after a year of research and testing and making our labels. And, it was crazy times like, making labels till 2 a.m., then coming home. I was pregnant with my fourth, getting up at 6 with the kids, doing the do with them all
Oh my
day.
God.
And then putting them to bed, going back to my sister's house, making labels till two. It was nuts. And I do often warn people, and there is a big tendency to romanticize entrepreneurship. They think, oh, book deals, speaking engagements, media. Really, it looks a lot like making labels in a basement till 2 a.m. So just remember that.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What was the process like to try and find like the product? Because
Yeah.
I have this ingenious product idea and I'm like,
Okay.
I have absolutely no idea how one even like
Where to start, right?
begins to go down that road. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So one of the partners was a graphics and print person. So she had a few ideas, but honestly, we just kept trying stuff out. We kept stuff in our dishwashers just to see if it would hold up. We had stuff in our dishwashers for a year. Now, eventually, we did source a product that was used for something entirely different. I can't tell you what that was for because, intellectual property, I'd have to kill you. Right. Trade secrets. But once we found that product and tested that, we're like, aha. And actually, it's kind of funny because our supplier was this funny old guy. And, he was telling people that bought his product for entirely different reasons. He was like, I got these four moms and the hammer who are making labels with this shit. And we were like, NDA. We need an NDA. Stop telling people about the four moms in the basement building their label empire. So that was our first lesson in it. Oh, we need people to sign non-disclosure agreements. So yeah, it was that's how it started. So I think like for you, Leanne, you want to, come up with a prototype or try, all it is now is like research and testing, right? Mm-hmm. Like trying, I'm so curious about your ingenious idea. I love ingenious
I'll whip up an NDA and then I'll send it to you and we can talk about it.
Yeah, you have to protect your ideas.
I'm mad because I talked to my dad about it and I was like, is this not the smartest thing ever? And he's like, yeah, this is amazing. I can't believe they don't have it. And then I will tell you it has something to do with hardware. So we were like at a hardware store and we mentioned it to a guy that worked there. And I was like, no, oops. We shouldn't have done that. Now
I know.
He's gonna go out like make $1 gazillion on this. And so like one other person has heard this idea.
Right. Like, well, you know what? At this stage, because I'm sure you have like a lot of entrepreneurial mamas like listening, like at this stage, I would, start writing your idea. I would probably talk to I know a really great Cynthia Mason who is a copyright trade, like intellectual property lawyer and a mama. She works from home. She's incredible. She's done a lot of stuff for me, but just even talk to her about the patenting process, right? Mm-hmm. No harm in a conversation.
Yeah.
No harm in a conversation. Yeah. But it's funny too, Leanne, because people are always like, how do you come up with an idea? And I'm like, go through your day, find something that pisses you off and fix it. Like you did. Like find a gap in the market and then create it. Looks like that's what your ingenious idea is, right? You just found something that is needed and doesn't exist, or even make something prettier. Like honestly, find a product that exists and makes
more functional.
Better. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I love that. Okay. Yeah. I'm like, might need to revisit this. I kick myself because way back when I was like very young, I created a game. I had like this great idea for a game. And I even like wrote it. I typed it out. I have it still saved on a hard disk. So that's how long ago this was. It's in a folder that it keeps like coming back and reminding me. And I like still hold it against my mom that we didn't actually like go to a lawyer and like make this thing happen because
why is it too late?
Well, the tech is coming around now. So it's sort of like, it was so way, way, way before the tech.
You know what? People still people still kick it old school with their board games and their, at cottages and things like that. Like we pull out all that stuff. So if it's something like that.
It was a computer game.
It was a computer game.
This is like forever.
Look at you cutting edge.
It's so funny.
Was it Space Invaders? Was it Astro Smash?
Well, I will tell you because now it's probably, again, the tech is coming around, but it was called Let's Go Shopping. And it was like,
was a shopping video game. Now you're talking, girl.
Right?
That's a video game I can get behind.
So it was a game where you could go virtually shopping with your friends in a mall.
Right.
And like actually try on stuff and see what it would look like on your body. And you could either just go and play it and try stuff on, or you could buy the stuff and have it delivered, right? Isn't that freaking genius?
I love it.
Someone's gonna go invent that now, but
I
still have it on
I'm
a
making
hard
notes
disk.
on a hard disk. I love it.
On a hard disk.
Show it to your kids and say, what do you think this is? Show them the hard disk. Be like, what do you think this is, kids?
They're like, I have no idea.
I was like, I showed my little guys once. We were at like Indigo or something, and there was one of those like little Fisher Price phones. Like, I don't know if you remember, like it was a little dial phone and it had a pulley thing.
Yeah.
And I said to my two little kids, I'm like, who knows what this is? And one said, oh, it's the toy from Toy Story.
Oh,
and, yeah. And then the other said, oh, it's a pulley toy. Right? They did not know it was a phone.
Well, my kids still like they talk on the phone like this. I'm like, that's not how you know. This part goes against your ear. You have to hold it, because I don't want to listen to everybody on speakerphone when you're talking.
Yeah, right. Oh, it's too funny.
They don't get it. I'm like, it's so interesting. They're just normally on speakerphone now. Like
I saw something on YouTube where this little kid was looking at a magazine or a book, and they're trying to swipe. They were trying to swipe the magazine. It was like a 2-year-old. I'm like, geez, that kid needs a little tech break.
Oh my God. Our poor kids. Oh man, poor kids these days. Okay, so Mabel's Labels, ingenious, and you sold the business, right? So that's like a whole
we did. Okay, let me go back to the basement for a hot minute. So we are in the basement, in my sister's basement, and then we were there for a couple of years, and then it was just a dungeon, and then we had to hire a couple people, and we were like, I'm quite sure we're breaking some sort of labor laws, so we needed a bigger space. So rather than getting a commercial space at that point, my sister, we told her to buy a bigger house with a bigger basement. She did. So then we moved to our next office, and we thought we'd be there 5 years, but we only lasted 2 years, and then we moved to where we are now. That's got to be around 2007. And we had 5,000 square feet. Now we've got like 20,000 square feet.
Wow.
And 50 full-time employees. And it's really grown. So, and then you're right.
So cool.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And, we do about, 14 million in sales, 15 million in sales a year. So yeah, lots of growth. And we did sell, which was pretty cool. I think we were about 13, 14 years in at the point. And we got approached. We weren't planning to sell at that time, but Avery called us. They're like, hey, can we have a conversation? We've been watching you guys. And we're like, hey, no harm, no foul. We can, go out for dinner.
No harm in a conversation.
That's right.
You never know.
Like I say to my kids, in life and in work, no's are free. So, you might as well. So we went and had the conversation. We kind of liked what we're hearing. That was in July. And then we closed at the end of December. So it was quite fast. And, people often wonder why we said yes. And we said yes for a few reasons. One was that we were ready for something new. We were the four of us still running it like co-CEOs. We needed like one CEO, or we needed to do something. We needed a change. And, so when this came up, we're like, well, maybe this is the time. The other thing was, they wanted our brand. They weren't going to come in and make it Avery. They loved us. They loved what we created. They loved our community. We were staying where we were. We were keeping our employees. All that good stuff was happening. So we weren't losing our Mabel. And they knew like the kiss of death would come in and ruin what we created, because what we created was magical. So they're not idiots, right?
Yeah.
And then of course the big point was the price tag, right? You want to make sure that you're getting, what you put in. There's a lot of sweat equity that you're not going to give your company away. So, and then also for four of us, we were only getting 25% of the pie, right? So we wanted to make sure it was enough that we were all very comfortable, selling for that price. So we got to that, and it closed, and it was great. And I've stayed on. The deal was I was to stay on for a year, because you want to actually make sure there's a really smooth transition, but it's gone really well. And I love being there, and they love having me. So I've stayed on as a senior director since the acquisition, and I'm still having a load of fun.
Oh my gosh. I didn't realize that. I don't think I knew that it sold, but I feel like, and I think you had to stay for the year, but I
Yeah.
didn't realize you were still
Still there. Yeah.
really
I'm the
involved.
original. I'm one of the OGs that's still there. We have a lot of employees that are still there, but of the four partners, I'm the last one
Only
that's
one?
still around. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Everybody's moved on doing other fun things and, doing other, it's great, and it's sometimes you need a change, right?
Totally.
And
Yeah.
I mean, really, that's the dream. Like build a business, scale a business, sell a business, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's
So
amazing.
yeah, so it's been really exciting. And like I said, I'm just still enjoying the journey. And if I don't enjoy it, I leave.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you must be enjoying it if it's been what? That's like
Yeah,
five
like
years
5 years.
now.
And yeah, exactly. It
You
is.
must
It's
still
really
be
fun.
loving
And
it.
you know what? Avery's been amazing. And, we just did this huge reno. And honestly, at Mabel's Labels, we've got this incredible team. Our leadership team is amazing. I love, like, we've got a new general manager who we hired like 14 years ago as a contractor. And she's worked her way up through the
Oh,
company.
that's
And she's
awesome.
just an incredible leader. And it's just really positive energy. And yeah, it's just amazing. It's a great culture. And that's been really important. I think, as moms who started a business, we're in the unique position to create a culture that was, focused on productivity, not presenteeism. And we knew women could create incredible things and be highly productive in unusual places at unusual times. We were those women, right?
I love that story so much.
Mm,
What a beautiful, beautiful thing you guys created. And I love that Avery came in and didn't want to mess with that culture. Like that makes
yeah.
me really happy for you guys because I feel like
Yeah.
that happens, like you see these big companies that eat up all these little baby companies and it's
Right.
just you do lose that culture and you lose half, most of the employees and they just get gobbled up by, those Avery employees are going to come in and like they're going to do the
Right.
sales or whatever now and it's like they didn't know what they were doing, and I
Yeah.
love that that didn't happen for you
Right.
guys.
Yeah.
So
No,
good for
there's been a
you.
lot of honoring of and that was part of the reason why it was a good fit. And like for
Mm-hmm.
anybody out there who's thinking about selling, you want to make sure it's the right fit. And honestly, if this is the only story you're hearing about the sale of a company, us meeting with them in July and closing in December, having only really talked to them about an acquisition is virtually unheard of. Like
Yeah.
literally companies get left at the altar constantly. You do not tell anyone about anything that's going on until that money is in your bank because you go through due diligence, you can lose people get lost in due diligence once they start looking under the covers and seeing, that would be one thing I'd say. Make sure you keep your housekeeping in order, every contract, everything, keep it all neat and tidy, all your finances, so that when they come and do due diligence to make sure everything is as how you presented it to be, that it is, because that's where a lot of things fall apart.
Okay, good
Yeah.
advice.
Yeah.
I'm not planning to sell a business anytime soon, but I do
There you
know a few
go.
people who have recently or are potentially in the future. So,
Right. Yeah. Something to
thank
think
you.
about. And, when you
Yeah.
do have a company, you do need to think about what's next. Like, are you building to sell it or is it a legacy business? Because you're going to manage it differently depending on what your exit plans are. So, you should always be thinking a little bit about your exit. It's
Yeah.
eventually that's going to happen. So, yeah, it's good to
Yeah.
plan. I'm a
And then what's
planner.
next?
Exactly.
Also like, your partners who aren't part of it now, like they're onto something else, right? And
Yeah.
I would imagine there's potentially a transition period in there of like, what the heck do I do now since I've put 14
Oh,
years into this? Or
Oh,
they've been thinking
Leanne,
about it.
100%. Like, and I see like one of our partners talks about this, how she really struggled with that. And like she left the company. And it's like, who am I? Like, what do I do if
Mm-hmm.
and I do warn people, like it is going to be a bit of an adjustment for sure. But I think, to get in front of that is don't identify yourself only as one thing,
Yeah.
like you're more
Mm-hmm.
than just Mabel's Labels or what your company is. You're a bunch of things. So, make sure that don't just get so sucked in that when you lose any one thing, you're lost.
Yeah. I feel like that even in motherhood
Yes.
and in marriage and relationships. And I've talked about, but I'm going through separation right now. And I feel like the work right now is figuring out like, who the hell am I? Right. And it's not the same, obviously, but similar. Like, and, someone asked me the other day, like, what do you do when you're not working? And I'm like, I watch Netflix. I don't know. Like, I'm a mom 50% of the time. And then I'm like on the couch watching TV 50% of the time. And in between I do work stuff.
Yeah. You're like, I'm still figuring that out, right? Like it's a transition.
Like and a business or a relationship, or probably I haven't gotten to the point where my kids are only 7 and 10, so they're not moved out yet. But like I would imagine same sort of thing, like when kids are leaving, it's sort of like
100%. You're right.
Your identity. And like,
I think there's so many comparisons between motherhood and entrepreneurship.
Totally.
And like for me, I mean, I have had 3 kids leave, and I think about, gosh, what if I only had 2 kids? I would have been an empty nester years ago. Like it's so weird to think like my 2 oldest right now are in Australia. I'm like, where would I mean, I still have 3 at home. So, but this is my motherhood has been such a huge part of who I am. Right.
Yeah.
So, and I do find like a lot of women who have, particularly traditionally, who have been like the stay-at-home moms and done all that, like when their kids leave, then they're like, whoa, what now? Like where? So it is important, I think, with your business and with your motherhood that you're always like being like, okay, let's not lose myself entirely here. Right.
Yeah.
And we have to
now
be,
and who am I?
Yeah.
It's like a big thing that
and I think we just get so busy, right?
Yeah.
Like we get so busy with kids and activities and momming and with our businesses, like suddenly, and sometimes that stuff all goes at once. So you transition out of your career and your kids are leaving and you're like, what? And like for you, like now that you've got the kids 50-50, I mean, I'm sure that first night when they were gone, you must have been like, this is the weirdest thing ever.
Yeah, very quiet. Yeah. Every time they leave, actually, I have a little bit of that transition. Like I'll drop them off tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
And then I won't see them again for another week. And so it's like there's like when I come home and all their stuff is not, in the entryway of the door. And I'm like, oh, it's like very empty and quiet. But the transition time is getting faster now, where like by the afternoon, I'm like, okay, I like this. I'm good.
So you guys do the week about.
Yeah.
Okay. So I've been separated for years now, and Daddy-O and I do, well, we just finished it, but what we did for years was nesting. So the kids stayed in the house and we rotated in and out.
Oh yeah.
Which made so much sense because there's 6 of them.
Yeah.
And we're like, we don't need 2 ginormous houses, and we don't need them packing up and going. And plus then it was just so consistent. Like they were just, it just was so easy. But now that they're older, he's got a place down the road. So, but we don't do week about still. We just do, they're there on Mondays and Thursdays and Fridays because we find that's too long to go without seeing them. Like we found a week too long.
Yeah. Yeah. I personally enjoy it because it gives me an opportunity to like go away and like travel or like
you can schedule really things around that
stuff. Like it is nice to have that like I can go away for a chunk of time, which is really nice, and not have to really worry, which is really good. But it's I did just talk to a friend who's just going through the first, this is like a couple of weeks of separation, and she's like, how do you do the thing? And I'm like, honestly, like it's whatever ends up working for you as a family and as people. Like this works for us and it works for us right now, but like will it work forever? I don't know. But
and things change.
And there's so many, like you said, like your schedule is so different. I'm like, there's so many options in like what can
it depends on your situation too. Like for us, there's 6 of them. Like, it made no sense to be, but then, people were like, so you actually share the house and share the bed? I'm like, yes, we do, but at different times, Some people think it's really weird, and not everybody can do it. Like me and Daddy are like besties. Like we're so good.
I couldn't share the space. That would be hard for me.
Yeah. Like, so it depends on, And also at the time, we still had Nanny Hazel. So there was some consistency around, I wouldn't come home and like the house would be trashed. And, so there were fights about, you didn't do any laundry. Like things were, at a level that there were a lot of things that made it work. So
Yeah.
like you say, every situation's different. You
So
got to
different.
do what works for your family and with your kiddos. And you know, even that week about, sometimes like it's okay because you're still like going to their sports or you're going to their, you know, so
you're still
you
seeing them in between,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
exactly. I know
We
for
just
us.
ended hockey, so we were like,
Oh
hockey was
yes,
like 5 days a week,
I know.
games
We're
Saturdays
hockey
and
people.
Sundays.
Yeah,
It's like,
it's a
yeah, we
two-person job.
literally, it just ended on
Yeah,
Sunday, so I'm like,
yeah,
okay, we get like 2 weeks off, and then it's baseball. So yeah, we're
exactly.
still like, we
Yeah,
still see them in between.
exactly.
But it is
Yeah,
nice personally, I find it nice to have that
good.
flexibility. But
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, our mediator was like, someday your kids, like he said his kids came home and they were like, so could we like do like 2 weeks on, like with each,
right,
like they wanted more time.
right.
So their kids ended up actually coming home and like asking for a change in the schedule, because they ended up doing like 2 weeks at each, because they're like, we just don't want to go back and forth every week, like we want more time with each
Right.
parent or whatever. And so it's, like
It's whatever works. And then, you know what, when they're
option.
teenagers, sometimes they just float about a bit. Like they kind of just go where they want to go. Or like if their friends like live, like my guy's got a friend. So they like, he comes here and they go in the basement, play video games, whatever. And then they'll go back to daddy-o's, or, you know, you just end up go with the flow.
Yeah, I feel like teenage years is just like,
it's open.
It's
yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. So I have so many teenagers.
I know. I'm like, I totally picture that. Like I'm like, it'll be just chaos.
Yeah, it's super fun though. I love it.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
So you also do a lot of, well, I've seen you as MC Julie.
Right.
Julie the MC.
At camp.
Camp.
Dovetail. That was so much fun.
I know, it was so much fun, even though it was so cold this year.
It was so
I was
cold.
grossly underprepared for how cold it was.
That first night. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I got COVID after that. Right.
You
like
did.
on Sunday. I got COVID, or like, I guess Sunday night, like Monday, I started feeling icky. Tuesday, I got up to work at 6 a.m. and I took a test and was like immediately positive. I was like,
oh, I still haven't had it. I still haven't had it
until that weekend.
Oh, somebody at camp gave it to you. Somebody was patient zero.
Like, I don't know. Like,
I don't know how I haven't had it. All my kids have had it. Some twice. And I take care of my kids when they're sick. I don't care if they're in my bed with me. Like, you know, I know we're supposed to distance, but I'm like, I'm not going to not take care of my kids, for goodness sakes. Like, anyway, this probably explains why I've been vomited on so many times in my life. But that I still like, honestly have not had it. And I'm just like, how is it some crazy mama immune system thing?
I know a couple people, but yeah, I was feeling really good that I was like going strong until Sunday after camp. And I was like, I do not feel right.
It's different. People say it feels different. It feels somehow a little different to regular cold or whatever.
Yeah. It felt, there was almost like a heaviness in my body. And like, I was just like super achy and like could not get warm overnight on Monday.
But you probably could have been like, that's just because I froze at camp.
That's
like,
what I thought Sunday. I was like, I'm excited to sleep in a regular bed. I had to go work on Sunday and was staying in a hotel. So I was like, okay, I'll be in a bed. Like I was just like kind of run down. It was really cold. We were in the.
Did you end up flying to camp?
I did.
Right? You did, right? Yeah, because you just got the car. You thought about right? Yeah.
So but yeah, then I was like, nope, this is
not right. This is different. So people listening, we were at Dovetail Camp, and this is run by the amazing Alexis and good old Alexis Dean, and she does these amazing events for women entrepreneurs. And that was my second one, I think. And it's a blast. And I mean, fun. And the connections, like so many incredible women. Like I just came back, my cup was full, and I just, you know, it was a blast. Yeah. And so many learnings. Yeah. It was
so much fun. Good solid dance party.
Yeah, right.
Saturday night.
Yeah.
Probably where I got COVID.
Yeah, exactly.
But how, like, are you emceeing elsewhere besides just at camp?
Right.
What are you doing with yourself besides being the kick-ass director?
Yeah. So I mean, a lot of my role at Mabel's Labels is getting out there, you know, being the spokesperson, turning up on social media, doing a lot of speaking. I've just come out of International Women's Week, and it was nuts. So like, I was in, so I, on the 7th, I was speaking in LA, and then I flew back. And then the next morning I was on breakfast television, which is a morning show here. And then I had a speaking engagement, and then I had another speaking engagement for International Women's Day. Like in 24 hours, it was nuts. And then I flew back to speak at Alt Summit in Palm Springs, and now I'm back. Like it's been crazy for me. I do a lot of travel at this time. Actually, and in fact, I'm going off out east next week or the week after to Cape Breton to speak at a chamber event at their women's inspiration event. I'm the keynote there. And the woman who is I guess the CEO or the general manager of the chamber out there is somebody I met at Dovetail Summit, Jenna,
No
the
way.
year before or
So
whenever
cool.
the last, yeah. And she's, I spoke at that one, and she's like, you got to come out and do my event. So finally, post COVID, here we go. I'm going out and doing it. So,
I love that.
I mean, I always say your network is your net worth. You turn up at places like Dovetail. And I remember after the first time, there was Ashley was there, who owns an events company. She had me MC another chamber event for the Wonder Woman conference. So you put yourself out there, be visible, and it leads to really great opportunities for your brand.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I'm just starting to get into that. Speaking's been like
awesome?
On the thing for a little while, like
okay,
a little, like 5 years, but I've not actually gone full force for it yet.
Well, it was hard through COVID, right? Because at first everything was canceled, and then everything was shifted to online. And that's actually through COVID. That's when I wrote my book. I wrote a book. I'm going to grab one to hold it up because I think I don't know if you've seen this. It's called Like a Mother.
Oh yes, look at you.
Yeah, Like a Mother, birthing businesses, babies, and a life beyond labels. And it was my COVID baby, because without traveling to conferences and speaking engagements through COVID, I mean, I was literally grounded. I'm like, if I don't write this book now, it's been on my to-do list for years. I'm like, okay, if I don't do this now, whenever am I going to get the chance? Because now I'm back to traveling all the time, right?
Right.
So that was women were picking up side hustles like crazy during COVID. So I like to think my book was my little side hustle.
I love it.
Yeah. And it actually launched in May, and it reached bestseller status, and it just won the Mom's Choice Award. So it's gone really well.
Amazing. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yay. Congratulations. That's
Thank you.
I love
Super
that.
fun. Yeah.
I think also like the speaking thing for me too has been hard in, like, what is the message, right? Like, what is the thing that I'm here to talk about and to share?
You got to figure that out. Yeah.
I have to know that before I can be ready to take a stage and feel really confident in what that message is.
Yes.
Before I'm going to go out there. But that is the dream. So I'm putting it into the universe that will be my life someday.
Manifest it, girl. Manifest it. And you know what? Start working on that. Think about that and meet with people and say, what do you think? What do you see my message as being? What value do I bring? And then, create something around that.
Yeah.
Like my classic one, which I do, I have about 5 different topics, but my one that I've just done a lot of, like through International Women's Day, is managing the mother load. And it's, entrepreneurial tips and productivity tips and tricks from an entrepreneurial mom of 6 kind of thing. And I just go in and I tell the story, I tell lessons learned, I give my life hacks, my productivity hacks, and from startup to sale. So I try to be entertaining.
Yes.
And fun and funny.
You are quite entertaining, I can say, from experience in hearing you speak.
And but then I also want to make sure people have takeaways, and like when they go, they can actually implement some stuff, right?
Yes, for sure. Yeah. Did you work with like a speaking coach at all, or this is just naturally? No. Oh, didn't you say you were like? Didn't you do acting in high school?
Look, I just always
Were you
been
like the play kid?
I was like in the play kid. I was like, it's come very naturally to me. I was the kid who was like valedictorian at high school. I've always been a little bit of a mouthpiece. So, Yeah, it
Same,
just, I
same.
didn't. And a lot of people will do courses and go and do I haven't. But that, I would recommend it if that's, if you need some help curating your message, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I was just
Why
curious.
not? Yeah.
Um, a friend of mine that's working on doing speaking and, again, nailing the message and
Yeah.
the stage presence. And like, it's a lot
Yes.
you have a obvious natural knack for being comfortable on the stage. I think
Yeah. And,
we're not all
sometimes
like
people,
that, Julie.
that's right. And that's why, but I will say, you will get more and more and more comfortable every time. You just
The
have to
more
go
you do
there
it.
and do, I always say, get comfortable being uncomfortable. Like obviously you are comfortable, in this medium, you would be fine on stage. Are you kidding me? If you can sit here and do have this conversation, you're fine. But, like put yourself out there. If the thing, if you're, and it's so hard for entrepreneurs because you do have to be visible. I'm sorry. You are the CEO. People need to see you. They don't want to buy from nameless, faceless brands. You are also a personal brand. You need to get out there. So if you're not entirely comfortable with it, set goals for yourself. Say, okay, I'm going to go to one networking event a month, or I'm going to pitch myself to go on Leanne's podcast. I'm going to pitch myself to do I'm going to send something to a morning show and ask if I can come on their expert for this, or, make yourself, set some goals around the things that make you uncomfortable, because honestly, you will get comfortable. It just takes practice.
Just have to do it. Yeah.
You just got to do it.
Quite honestly, part of why I started doing this podcast for me, as we talked about before we started recording, I wanted to have it as a place for other people to share their voices. But for me personally, was to actually get comfortable, like having these conversations and asking questions and being fully present in the conversation, and to get more comfortable really like holding this space. So
love that.
It's funny because that's like half the reason I'm doing this.
It's amazing. And so that, like, to me is such like a good self-awareness, and it's such a good goal. Like, you're like, okay, I want to get comfortable in the space. So I'm going to do it. But at the same time, I'm going to be having conversations with people who, can bring value to my listeners, and I'm going to draw the value out of those. Like, there's so many skills that go with hosting something like this, Leanne. So good on you. Good for you. Yeah.
It's a work in progress.
There you go.
It's
we
so
all
fun.
are. We all
and it
are.
gives me an excuse to connect with you and all the other people that I've gotten.
And you're a connector
My goal was
people, right?
25 guests for this season. So.
Love it. Love it. You'll get there. I have a feeling.
Yeah. Oh, well, I love that. So it was just sort of like a natural transition for you as you started once you sold the
for
business
sure.
to
And
be the face.
honestly, when we go offline, like, I can send you anything. Like, I can send you my speaker sheet, I can send you my press sheet. And like, anyone who's listening, if you want help with any of this stuff, like, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. I will send you my stuff. I'm all about sharing my stuff, so you can use it as a precedent, or I just feel like after 20 years, like, I want to help other people in this space. I'm all about that. If I'm the kind of guy who's going to mention your name in a room full of opportunities, right? I'm not going to be quiet and try and hoard them to myself. I love this women's space, and, I've gained so much out of it, and I want to share that too.
Yeah. You're so sweet. I love you. You have such a good heart, Julie Cole. I love it. Oh, well, all right. I'm trying to think of, like, I had a whole list of questions in my head before we started. I'm like, did I cover everything?
Well, it's very natural conversation. No, I would just say, like, for people, people who want to follow me, I'm in all the places. I'm on Instagram at Julie Cole Inc. and at Mabel's Labels, to follow, see where I'm at, and to see some of my media, whatever. Go to mabelslabels.com/Julie Cole. And you can also order my book there, or you can order my book from Amazon, or, Barnes and Noble, any of the places. So I just hope people connect afterwards. And, I'm really excited to share this with my audience. And do keep in mind, Mabel's Labels, our 20th birthday sale is going on. So check out mabelslabels.com. So much fun content happening right now. We're having a big event this week with all our influencers who are coming to the office to decorate cupcakes.
Oh my God. So
content. It's going to be a blast. Yeah. So lots of excitement. So, Leanne, thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad we connected at camp. And good luck with the podcast.
No, thank you. I loved this conversation. We'll obviously link all the things and share all the things in the notes and all that stuff. Congratulations to Mabel's Labels for 20 years. I really need to get some of those things. Every time I see my stupid permanent marker that's like
I am
wearing off,
sending you some promptly after this. I am messaging my customer service team and connecting you, and you are going to get some labels. I will comp you.
So
I just want you to have them.
Oh, shameless plug.
Yeah.
Sponsored by Mabel's Labels.
Yeah.
Just kidding. No, this was fantastic. Thank you so much for spending the time, and go follow Julie and go meet Julie in person, because you are such a fun human to know. And I've loved all the time that I've spent with you. So thank you for being here. And we'll be back for another episode. Have a good day, guys.